Hey guys, Dustin here with another Star Trek The Official Starships collection video from Eagle Moss Collections. Well, first of all, I'd like to say this. I am back with another episode. I've known I said in my Austin Dillon video that I was going to do it, but something happened that weekend and I had to take care of it. And I kept putting it off, but at least this is now a surprise. We are going to be taking a look at the Klingon bird of prey from the 22nd century, not to be confused in the movie era, but it may show some characteristics. So, this is a scout ship launched in the 22nd century with a length of 145 meters with disruptor cannons. Here's the ship. So, it's operated by the Klingon Defense Force, or the KDF, operational in the 2150s. Disruptor cannons, there are 8 of them, with twin torpedo launchers. Top speed is warp, and its mission is patrol, raid, and assault. Y'all know where I'm going with this. Now, bird of prey, they may act like scouts and raiders, but they've been a part of the Klingon fleet ever since the Empire first achieved spaceflight. Now the base layout has been the same, but has been adapted over the years to become more and more powerful. And the essentials have remained the same: an engineered hull of 2 wings that is connected to a bridge module by a long neck. When humans first encountered these, they established part of the fleet and raiding parties ventured as far as the Sol system. And the High Council sent Duras to apprehend Captain Archer, who had fallen foul of them by helping a group of Klingon rebels. Duras was so confident he attacked Archer's ship, the Enterprise, on the outer perimeter of the Sol system. He was only forced to retreat when the 3 other ships came to the Enterprise's aid. Other than the Klingon fleet during the 22nd century included the Raptor and the D4 class battlecruiser, both of which shared basically the same layout that would later be used for the Katinga class, which we will look in a little bit further when that time comes. Bird of prey is an extremely heavily armed ship in the exterior bristled with disruptor cannons. Twin cannons were mounted on either side of the bridge module. Like other Klingon ships, bird of prey carried a disruptor turret that was mounted on the underside of the ship. It was fitted with the twin disruptor cannons and could rotate 360 degrees in the Z-line axis, provide a wide field of fire. So if you're caught anywhere within that Z axis, kiss yourself goodbye. First weapons most Klingon's commanders fired were the wingtip disruptors. Mid-22nd century, ships would routinely dock with one another. Bird of prey's main docking parts were on either side of the engineering hull. First Klingon bird of prey Starfleet encounter was commanded by Duras, son of Toral. Klingon captain has been humiliated by Captain Archer, who cost Duras command when he prevented him from capturing some Klingon rebels. The High Command restored Duras' rank and sent him to apprehend Archer, but he had underestimated his foe, who destroyed Duras' ship in a battle in the Expanse. Looking in a little further, the design of the bridge barely changed between the 22nd and 24th centuries. The commander was always on a throne-like seat in the center. The roof was made of grating, and there were a combination of walls mounted on freestanding consoles. So even fitted retractor emitters on the underside of the wings that were powerful to pull up a small ship to a shell bait, even if the target vessel resisted. Small, maneuverable, highly maneuverable, often operated independently, designed for battle, and was heavily armed. And looking at the ship itself, On the sides, you have actually the impulse engines up on top. There's the disruptor cannons. See on the side, it's on the very bottom of the wingtip. You also have the front up here. And the bridge module is up front, not back here. Always like they add it up front. The defensive weakness before the alliance with the Romulans, Klingon ships weren't fitted with cloaking devices, so hard for them to evade their enemies. Their ships lack shielding weaponry at the rear. It's important for them to make front assaults, keep their opponents in front of them. They even have a severe weakness related to their energy distribution network, and while target raids can deprive their power. Now, designing this ship is much more prominent and even more heavily armed than its predecessor. This is a concept for a 22nd century version. They actually kept the basic shape, everything cruder and more primitive. Here's some inspirations, like this one from that. Maybe may want to attempt to redesign Bird of Prey on Deep Space Nine, but it looked a little too modern, which was like the latter half of the Star Trek series. Here's the inspiration. Was a version of but this is actually a version of a battlecruiser that didn't make it to the scene on Star Trek Enterprise. But you can actually tell this is actually a 23rd century Katinga class ship. You can always compare this to a A-10 Warthog, which actually is tank killer. This thing can really pick off a ship. Now, making sense of the Klingons. These guys are my favorite enemies, I'll tell you that. This is Dax, who discovers how bad life is on the Mortarian, whose crew has lost their faith. By the time the next generation came to an end, we learned a lot about Klingons. And we actually knew, rather than being simply an aggressive race of mindless warmongers, they were a complex species who were best described by a cross between basically the Japanese samurais and the Swedish Vikings. They place great importance on a strict code of ethics, deep appreciation for poetry, music, and art, as a love for heavy drinking. Wow. That's actually the Klingon Empire, played by major role Deep Space Nine and Marok, was all the series regular. Yeah, that's actually Martok, not Dax. I apologize. This is actually Dax discovers how bad life is on the Rotarian, whose crew has lost his faith, and he was deeply damaged by his experience on Dominion prison and only recovers since. Himself and Worf challenged him for command, and Martok and Worf actually became very close. Martok showed Worf was meant to be a Klingon, even though that Worf is a Starfleet officer. With Captain Picard, a Klingon warrior is only valued as long as he can fight. He was a great warrior. His core had no place in Klingon society once he had grown old. And here's the on-screen. It first appeared in The Expanse for Enterprise, and last appearance was Divergence. Even appeared in Borderland, Cold Station, and The Agments. Some trivia facts: although we didn't see a 22nd century Klingon bird of prey until Star Trek Enterprise Season 2 finale, the term bird of prey was actually mentioned in Sleeping Dogs, which was a Season 1 episode in Enterprise. The Vulcans pretty much knew all about bird of prey before Sister Paul was able to identify it straight away. And the inspiration behind this is the fact that the Klingon ship's been called bird of prey, but there's one thing. The first ever bird of prey was a Romulan ship who had a role in Balance of Terror. So the next time the bird of prey appeared was in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. Producer Hart Bennett had originally intended to be a Romulan ship, but Leonard Nimoy actually persuaded him to switch to the Klingons. Naming the ship was left unchanged, but fans speculate that the ship has been stolen from the Romulans, but Enterprise clearly showed Klingons had over 100 years earlier. Had the ships over 100 years earlier means it's been a coincidence that Romulans and Klingons have ships with the same names. And the next ship we're going to be taking a look at is the unique Oberth class starship. Otherwise, this would be the USS Grissom. And what is up with the design on this thing? Like, how can you go from the engineering hull to the bridge? We're going to find that out in the next video because I have no idea. It's an in-depth profile of how these science vessels stayed in service for over a century. In creating the USS Grissom for the search for Spock, how it survived until Star Trek's Next Generation. And here's the back graphic. So, here's our ship. It actually has the cannons, which is actually looks pretty awesome. I actually like the fact they actually reuse that same shade of green for these ships, like Klingon ships. And yeah, even include the weapons. This ship is actually much detailed, just like the predecessor. Yeah, I have a bridge module up here. Basically, you also have the warp nacelles here. Yeah, it does lack the back weapons. Like, they won't know they won't get attacked until it's too late. So, that's what happened. So, actually, like shaded green they actually did. Even the texture actually makes it have that wing feel, like the birds of a wing. So, basically, they also got a inspiration off the A-10 Warthog by Alright, you may look at A-10 Warthogs like the tank killers. It actually has a barrel gun at the tip, and just basically picks off, and they actually call it the tank killer. And this is actually what inspires it off by. You have two guns, but this only has like two guns, one here and another here. You also have two more guns in the middle. Two more at the wings. And who knows where the other two are. But it does say it has 8 disruptor cans. It also has twin torpedo launchers as well. That's cool. So, do I like this ship? Well, actually, it looks pretty good in the predecessor, even though the predecessor is a little much more longer and a little much more advanced. So, anyway, that's all I have to say. Yeah, welcome back myself for the Star Trek Starships video. I will try doing these at least a few times a month. Also, I'm going to have to catch up, so yeah, I got really a lot of catching up to do. So, yeah, my name is Dustin, and I will see you later. Yeah, I know this has been a quick review because I want to get it knocked out of the way before I start reviewing another ship, which is going to be Oberth class, which is going to be next. I may upload it on the same day, but who knows.